Hello, everyone. It has been a minute. In fact, it has only been a minute if a minute was defined as 365 days or more. It has been more than that. Um, hello. I've it it's happening. A life update. Yeah, my bad for being so long. Frankly, the only reason why I'm doing this is because I have the time now, which I will explain why I have the time because it isn't the greatest reasoning. But hello, hey there, how's it going? Um, obviously because it's been so much time. There's been a lot that's happened. You'll notice that I'm recording in a different spot than normal. If you are the family members that might normally watch these, don't mind that. That's an air purifier right there. It's pretty much the only spot we have for it. Yeah, I'm in a different place because I'm not in the same room. I'm not living in the same room that I normally would record these in before. Um, for those of you that know where I live or have been here, what used to be the guest house is now my room. And by my room, I mean our room because, bling bling, I'm married. Most of you that watch this would know that. But in case you are not a family member, if you like, then I put a ring on it. Um, yeah. So I must try and reverse all the way back. Last time I made a little life update vlog, I filmed it with Alira, my girlfriend at the time, not even fiance yet. Um, who then became my fiance and then became my wife. At the time, I was had just barely started working for the Division of Forestry and Wildlife. Um, Doing stuff with birds and mosquitoes. And I think I explained that whole job and everything. Um, since then, I worked that job for quite some time. The job was great. It was super fun. Um, just like, like I was explaining it in the last video, what was basically what I imagined myself doing when I got into what I'm doing, or chose to do what I'm doing, which is essentially wildlife biology as a big umbrella. And was working with birds, working mosquitoes, getting to know the birds even more and more. I got all the way up to the point where I was, instead of being a secondary surveyor when surveys come around to um, track the population of birds, became a primary surveyor. Um, Basically just means when we go and do surveys, I was the one who's actually going from station to station, taking data on how many birds I'm hearing where, of what kind, and all that data goes into the estimates that the state makes for how many birds are around. Um, I'm no longer in that job though, because um, before I'd got married, I could see one of two things happening, which was part of that job was camping about every other week. Sometimes there'd be 2 weeks between, 3 weeks if I was super lucky. But usually it was a week camping, week off, week camping, week off. And so Alira and I would be apart Monday through Friday on the weeks where I was camping. And that, wasn't very fun to not be able to see each other. In most places, I was able to text or call, and we just kind of could stay in contact. And what I knew I was gonna be getting married, and I was like, all right. The curious thing is, all right, it's either gonna go one of two ways. It's either gonna be easier going on camping weeks because we have more time together, so it's like more of a break or more of like a oh, it's okay because I we get more time together because we weren't living together before we got married, and so it's like, oh, maybe now that we'd be married and moved in together, that it'd be that we get more time together and it's fine being away. That was one way I could have seen it going. I was like, that holds some logic. Or the other direction of it'll be harder because we're so used to being together at all times. And it definitely was that second one. And so as time went on, we got married in May of last year, 2025. By the time it hit around August, September, so, literally only 3 months ish, 4 months, I was already getting to the point where I was like, I can't do this. I'm it's getting to the point where Sundays before, because when I'd have to go camping, I'd also have to prep the week for the whole week. I'd have to pack all my clothes, pack the food for the week, be ready to go camping for Monday through Friday. And I just got to the point where I started dreading the camping weeks. Like on Sundays, I'd just be like, "Oh, this week is gonna suck." Like, um, yeah, just being away from Illyria. Um, so that got to the point where I was like, you know what? I think it's in the best interest of our marriage to pursue another job. And so in September of last year, I talked with my supervisor and said, "Hey, this is the situation. Thinking of pursue another job. Then she asked, she's like, "Hey, like if you're gonna do that, can you please give me an end date as soon as possible, so that way it can be a smooth transition. Whoever takes over for you." I was like, "Okay, yeah, for sure." And so then I thought about it, and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna put my end date to be November 30th, end of November." And that was beginning ish of September that I'd put that in. So I was like, all right, I got a month and a half. I feel like I just, I feel like I can get a job in that time, hopefully. Um, Another reason why I wanted to end that job was just because I didn't click super well with the supervisor. She was also new to supervising, and that comes with some bumps in her learning how to be a supervisor. Um, but that also, I would say it was could be toxic at times, and so I wasn't a big fan of that. So there was just enough things where I was like, all right, let's get out of this job, even though it's a very fun job, very cool job. Let's pursue something else. Now the downside of that is, I had to sit down and think because really, as far as work with birds, whether it's forest birds or seabirds, basically what I'd had experience in and was trying to do here on the Big Island of Hawaii, there's not really any jobs doing that kind of work that don't camp. So I was like, okay, if a job like that pops up that doesn't camp, great, but very low likelihood. So I was like, okay, I got to think about what kind of jobs I'm trying to pursue or what I'm doing. Um, the unfortunate thing that ended up happening is I wasn't able to get a job by the time I finished that job. I'd applied to a bunch of different jobs. I had applied to a seahorse farm that was over on the other side of the island. I was in talks with a lady to try and do bird tours and social media for her company here. I had interviews with a different tour company that would have done tours in the national park and did some bird tours. I really was looking into bird tours. I even got I got a camera that would have been nice for taking pictures for bird tours and all these things. I really thought that was what I was gonna do, and all that kind of stuff fell through. Um, the seahorse farm is because they wanted somebody that was Kona side. I assume that's the same thing for the tour company because the tour company was based out of Kona side. And then the lady that does the bird tours, she was just kind of all over the place. Um, and basically it was expressed on both sides, my side and her side, of like, now isn't the right time and it's just not going to work kind of thing. So uh yeah, I'm still unemployed as of now. It has been 2 months of unemployment, and it sucks. And so I probably could have made this video earlier, a little life update. Yeah, but because I've had the time, I've been, the first 3 weeks was like a great, when you're going straight from work and it's like, gosh, this is a break. This is great. And then it started getting in January. I was like, okay, I'm starting to get sick of this. Like I've been applying to different jobs. I'm trying to get some stuff. The issue is November 30th, I really should have thought through. That was not a great end date. I should have ended earlier. There would have been more jobs available earlier because nobody's hiring right before the holidays. Like, it just doesn't make sense to hire right before the holidays because for jobs with benefits, people don't have vacation accrued yet, and most everybody goes on vacation during Christmas, New Year's kind of thing, or even a week starting a week before, and so you know some of those people going on vacation are the management that would be training whoever's new and kind of thing. So most people don't even hire around the holidays. So that also I didn't think about that because I was noticing I'm looking on Indeed and I'm looking at the different job sites. I'm like, wow, there's just not a lot of jobs coming up. Period, right now. And I didn't put together it's because it was the holiday season. So like ever since it's become like a week into January, there's been more jobs popping up, which is good, which is great. Um, so yeah, but boy, unemployment. Um, I have not been a fan. Let me tell you what. It is a very lonely life for me because everybody else still has lives. Like everybody that I'm friends with, friends and family, it's like they still got to go to school or go to work, and so then like for the working hours of the day, throughout the days, I'm alone or figuring out what the heck to do. Um, and so that's kind of sucked. Um, I've really gotten to the point where I was just trying to. I'm like overall, I need some more short term goals. I need to find something exciting for me to do to keep me going. Because there hasn't been much. I haven't been very. I just haven't been feeling playing guitar lately. Um, I play video games, but normally I only ever have fun playing video games with other people. I found a video game that I really liked and was playing alone for a little bit and got sick of it. I'm like, I do that with other people, so I don't have anybody to do that with. Um, like exercising here and there helps the mental health and is a good thing that I know I should keep doing and doing more of. Um, that's something that takes discipline, and that isn't something I'm like excited about, obviously. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just I started thinking about it and I was really trying to find something that I find fun and exciting that I can do alone. Because that was the biggest issue is everything I was thinking of that I would enjoy. A big reason why I enjoy it is because of doing it with other people. Like like sports, games, like anything like that. So guitar was really one of the few things where it's like guitar and music where doing it alone I found enjoyable and I just haven't lately. Um I do still enjoy music, and so the thing that I do, I was just it just came up earlier in my mind that I was like maybe this would be fun to do. Or that something that does still excite me is still a form of music and a form of content creation like this. Um, Using some musical instruments that I have. So if you guys would watch that, because at the end of the day, I would enjoy making it just to make it, but also I'd enjoy it even more so if the few of you that, know me in person or watch me or somehow maybe are watching and don't know me in person would enjoy that. It'd be good to know. Um, so yeah, I mean, I might start doing that and uploading stuff like that on this channel. Sorry, this video also is very much just all over the place, especially because there's been so much that's happened. Part of this is probably also just a good like therapeutic thing for me. Um, but yeah, so I might start doing that. But the summary of basically it's been unemployment has kind of sucked. It was good for the first little bit. There's been other jobs that have come up since that I also haven't gotten. I applied to a job that was with there's a school here called Kamehameha Schools. They're very big. They cater specifically to Native Hawaiians. They're so big that they have land all over throughout the islands, and not all of it's used for schools. Some of it's used for just like they just manage the land, maybe some ranches, or they rent it out to different things. I had a job that would have been doing stuff with native. Hawaiian fish ponds, doing research with how to get more native fish in there rather than the invasive fish, and also doing education events with kids from Kamehameha schools coming to those ponds and doing restoration. Didn't get that job. I applied for a job in something that's called Geographic Informational Systems, or GIS. For those that aren't familiar, it's GIS. There's computer programs. There's one called ArcGIS. There's another one called Envo. No, I forget what it's called, but you use these computer programs basically to work with any kind of data that has to do with space and time. So, like, if you make a map and the map shows little dots of different things happening in different places, that would be something you do in that kind of program. Um, I applied to a job that worked with that because I have some experience in that from taking a class in it and doing some work with that in my job at the national park. But I didn't get that job. Right now, the jobs that I'm waiting on hearing back from that I'm hoping for is a job from the Division of Aquatic Resources. So my last job was for the state. It was the Department of Land and Natural Resources, and so that's the higher umbrella. And the lower thing was the Division of Forestry and Wildlife. This other job I applied to is still in that same department, but in a different division that's aquatic resources. So it's the ocean instead of like the land and forest. And it'd be doing working with the community and also taking data as far as like water quality and just kind of like environmental and ecosystem monitoring. That's the best way I could summarize it. It's not worth super getting into, considering, yeah, no, I might not even get the job. I'd go more into it if I get the job. And then also, a job description only tells you so much. And can be completely different from a day to day. So obviously, as soon as I do get a job, I'll be making a video telling you guys about it. The other job that I'm waiting for that I applied to more recently is an education and outreach assistant for organization here called the Big Island Invasive Species Committee. And so I'd be, just doing outreach and education for the general public and for kids here in schools and different stuff, talking about conservation in Hawaii and talking about the invasive species and what they look like, why they're bad, and how to help in the war against them, essentially. So those are the two jobs that I'm waiting on. Overall, something that I kind of was getting into earlier in this conversation was the idea that I had to think about what am I going to do next, and the pivot, what I've been most interested in is some sort of outreach and education because of really enjoying what I did at the national park, working with the rangers there that work at the visitor center and just telling people, like just helping people figure out what they were going to do in the national park and telling people about Hawaii in general. Any questions, if I had the answer. I really enjoyed that and just talking with people and stuff. And so I feel like outreach and education is in that same vein, that same line. But we'll see. I'm really just relying on God and, whatever doors open up. But overall, update on marriage. Marriage has been great. It's been super, just living with my best friend. You might hear some drilling or sawing. Also, another update, I guess. So right outside this room, there's a carport being built that should be getting finished today. So that's a cool addition. Maybe I'll, in a future video, show that. So you might hear that in background. Sorry, but back to it. Marriage has been great. Just living with my bestie, my best friend. We've gotten used to being in this little room in our setup. And frankly, I think if I wasn't married or if I was like single while going through this whole being unemployed thing, I would have completely lost my mind. Because I've already halfway lost my mind, but what's been keeping me going is that like I have a lira. and that, you know, we're together in the evenings, um, and her days off and stuff. Um, yeah, I think I'm very grateful for her and for being married. Um, and she's been enjoying her work. I don't think we talked about it in that last video. That last video would have been the first one she was in. For those that don't know, she's a vet tech at a pet care center, a vet clinic that's 5 minutes up the road. Um, so it's nice that she doesn't really have to drive far for work, and she super enjoys work. They should be sending her. Her work is offering to send her to school for a certificate and more training for what she does there, and they're in the talking of works of trying to set that up for later this year. Um, yeah. Um, there's there's so much, I'm sure, more that's happened, but I don't want to take up too much time here. If there's any specific questions you guys have, put them in the comments and I'll read them, and try and answer. But yeah, I feel like that's the super broad, I guess, summary of what's happened since the last video and where I'm at right now. Currently, more is what I've talked about. It's basically since the last video, I worked that job for another year and a half or whatever. Then I've been unemployed, and in that time while working, I'd got married. Marriage has been great. I feel like we do very well. Um, very well. We click very well. Communication styles work together well. Um, yeah, and that we're not perfect, obviously. That both of us have our downsides, and that we have our scuffles and our arguments, like every human relationship does. Um, but that they always that we work through them so well. Um, yeah. Um, doggies are getting older. They're going to the vet a lot more, and having a lot more things to do with age. But they're still doing all right. Crash has diabetes. My parents give him insulin shots every night and every morning. Um, there's a whole lot of things with the dogs. But there's a little update for the dogs if anyone cares. Um, yeah, I just wanted to film a little video, talk about where I'm at, what's going on. Um, hopefully, some of those jobs hear back from soon, pull through and whatnot. Um, for those of you that pray, please pray for me. Um, uh, yeah, because I'm brain farting and don't want to take up time just saying I think I'm just gonna leave things there. And I'll try and record some of these more consistently and possibly make some of that content I was talking about of just like music making and loops, because I think that'd be fun. But yeah, I hope all of you are doing well. Anybody that's watching this, that if you had a good day today. Um, and yeah, I will for now just say love you and catch you on the flip flop.